to Bobcat Sports Talk. I'm Jessica Carter, here with my two co-hosts, Jay Riley and Trey Howard. So last Saturday, we had the matchup of Alabama and Texas A&M. Two quarterbacks, Manziel and AJ, did a great job. Very successful game. The end of the score was 49-42. Alabama took the win. We're going to move to Jay with his first opinion of the Alabama and Texas A&M game. He is Alabama's #1 fan, so please watch out when he comes with his opinions.
Alabama played Texas A&M, and it was a shootout. It was an absolute draw against one another. 49-42 is not a usual SEC score, especially with the SEC defenses being so intense. And you know, we brag about in the SEC having the best college conference for defenses. A.J. McCarron was a complete hoss. I mean, 4 touchdowns on the day, and he threw for 300 yards. Just absolutely beautiful. Just the overall fact that they won the game, and it was the ultimate rematch. Coach Saban versus Johnny Manziel is the matchup that people like to say. I think that it was just a beautiful thing to see Alabama take that rematch and just, you know, work their way into it. Now, Johnny Manziel is an awesome quarterback, came back and almost won the game for him, but, you know, those 2 picks cost him the game, and, you know, Alabama's going to win the next national championship. Y'all can count on that.
Well, first off, I like that tie, that suit tie combination. Anyway,
Thank you.
I have to say I did think Texas A&M would take this because I expected a high-scoring game, and I figured that Alabama could not win a shootout with Texas A&M and the Heisman-winning quarterback. But they did. Now, I wouldn't say A.J. McCarron was a hoss. I mean, one of his touchdowns, he threw a screen, and the guy just took it 70-plus yards for a touchdown. Another one, he just did a play-action boot wide open. But he did look good. He managed the game like Nick Saban wants a quarterback to do, like all Alabama quarterback should. John Manziel was very impressive. He did throw 2 picks. You know, one of them was like a little crazy bop up in the air. Somebody come get it pick. But he did look great. 400-plus yards, 5 touchdowns. He was awesome. But Alabama, they showed why they're the #1 team in the nation. And it was a great game all around.
It was a great game, for sure. Congrats to Alabama on the win.
Obviously, Alabama superior to all. That's why they have 2 back-to-back national championships and 3 within 4 years. You want to say that they don't, you know, this offensive line struggled. That offensive line held the Texas A&M blitz to almost nothing. The rush game was there. T.J. Yeldon went for over 100 yards on the day. I think that Alabama's a superior team to all teams. I will say that if Oregon got a shot at Alabama, that it would be a very scary game because Alabama's not used to that high-tempo offense. Oregon gets a playoff within 15 seconds. 15 seconds. That's insane. Even for an SEC defense to line up against that it's just absolutely tough. I think it's a smart pick. I think that Alabama has the opportunity to take home another national championship. They just got to get past LSU, which was Zach Mettenberger as their quarterback. Might not be too hard because he's still a young guy, and he's not A.J. McCarron, he's not Johnny Manziel or Teddy Bridgewater or anyone in that typical category.
I'd have to argue with you. Yeah, he is Zach Mettenberger, so
much higher.
I'm
going to agree with Jessica. I'm going to say not smart. Not because Alabama can't do it, but it's just they might have to run the table to do it. Let me see. I'm looking at their schedule, and they have Colorado coming up, which they should win. They have Ole Miss, a good Ole Miss team. They look good. They have to see LSU. They have to play against Arkansas. I'm not saying these teams are better, but there's a potential trap game in there somewhere. I don't think Alabama's going to run the table.
But do you think that whenever they play Ole Miss, do you think they're just going to put their head down? Nick Saban doesn't look over any team. Nick Saban, when you look at Nick Saban, and you look at his championships, and you look at the kind of coach that he is, do you think that he's going to be like, right, oh, well, Bo Wallace is on a hot streak right now. Oh, let's not worry about that.
Kind of go Bane right here from The Dark Knight Rises. Of course not. But I'm saying he can't play for the team. Like it's a potential trap game here with Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, Mississippi State. Only LSU is really a contender, but you don't think Alabama will come out lackluster in those games? And plus, if they do run the table, they still have to play Georgia or South Carolina in the SEC championship.
I'm ready for Alabama's defensive line to try and stop Odell Beckham on LSU. I will go to that game somehow. I'll find a ticket and I'll watch it, and we can talk about it then too also. So I can't wait to watch that matchup. And that'll prove to you that the defensive line is not showing a national championship.
Yeah,
this
C.J.
year.
Mosley, surely
So-
not a national championship contender. Woo.
So we have 2 not smarts and a smart here, so that's 2-1 for this one. This
Y'all got
round.
my back. Y'all got my back.
So, anyways, we're going to go to smart or not smart for the Heisman picks this year. All right, first up is Manziel. I think it's smart for Manziel to have the Heisman pick this year. The only thing I'm concerned about is his attitude, and I think that a Heisman Award is a really rounded person. What do you think, Jay, on smart or not smart for Manziel?
Johnny Manziel, based on his past performances, I think he deserves it because he's such a great quarterback. He really is. 5 touchdowns, 2 picks in the Alabama game that really looked like he had the opportunity to take it home. I just don't think that his character resembles a Heisman candidate. I don't think it resembles a Heisman winner. He's not a professional athlete. And if you look at the past Heisman winners...
This is a professional sport. This is amateur college sport.
No, I understand that. But even though it is amateur, he should still have enough respect for his team and for his teammates. I mean, his teammates and his coach to look at it and say, okay, maybe I should change my attitude. Maybe I shouldn't do some of the things I do. I mean, he got off with just a little slap on the wrist with his, half of a game suspension against who? Rice? And then he came out and threw 6 of 8 for, a couple hundred yards and, 3 touchdowns? Just complete disgrace, I mean, everybody can throw 3 touchdowns against Rice whenever you play in the SEC. I don't think he deserves it based on his character, based on his athletic ability. Yeah, dude, definitely put him in the picture. Throw him in there with Teddy Bridgewater and a few other quarterbacks.
The last 6 or 7 Heisman winners have all been quarterbacks, and I don't think they're going to break this trend anytime soon with all these great young talents coming in. Let's see here. We've got Teddy Bridgewater, as you mentioned. He started off hot. He has Louisville number 7 in the nation, but his last game he was 16 for 28, 250 yards and a touchdown. That's not Heisman number. He didn't play bad, but that's just not Heisman number.
But not every game do you have to be a Heisman player. If you look sometimes Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football has a bad game every now and then. Who's to say that wasn't just a bad game for Teddy Bridgewater?
He's not completely out the picture, but I'm going to slide him down in my rankings. The one that's completely off the picture is Jameis Winston. He's very deadly accurate. He's completing over 85% of his balls, but last game, 214 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. I think it's just a little premature. Give him a year or two.
Did the pick throw you off? Is that what it was?
No. But I think it's just a little premature. Give him a little time. Next year or so, put Jameis Winston probably at the top. But right now, I don't think it's his time. But the dark horse in all this is Marcus Mariota out of Oregon. This guy's putting up numbers everywhere. Passing, rushing, he's got 889 in the air. He's got 262 on the ground, 7 touchdowns. Throwing, 4 touchdowns. Running.
And who does Oregon play?
They played, Nicholls State. They just played Tennessee.
Nicholls State? Wasn't that the last topic that we discussed? Didn't she make it?
Oregon.
Poor schedule, but that does not affect the player. I mean,
Oregon can only play the hand they're dealt. Do you want them to play Alabama, then Texas A&M, then go to Stanford, play the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams?
They don't even play some of the top teams in their own conference. I think that's a little bit.
They'll eventually, down the road, they'll eventually see Stanford. They'll eventually see UCLA. USC is still formidable, I guess, but
that's kind of a joke.
I don't think their schedule is any worse than Alabama's. Who did Alabama start off with? Alabama's going to eventually play Georgia State. I mean, you have to have these cupcake games in there somehow to give your team a break, I had to say. And Marcus Mariota's handled it very well for me.
But they're talking about Oregon because all these other conferences are jealous of the SEC because the SEC, like you said, has been running the table these past 7 years, won a championship after a championship after championship. So they're all upset. But yet, when they come down here, Oregon, as you say, comes down here and decides they want to play an SEC team, who do they play? One of the worst teams in the conference, Tennessee.
Well,
they
I think
schedule a game with
Oregon's
Tennessee.
AD, and you write them a mean letter and tell them to schedule some harder teams. But all that said, my Heisman winner, you know it, Johnny Football. Even in the loss, he still looked good. 646 yards, 464 yards, not that many. 600 total yards.
Yeah, he definitely my Heisman
95-yard touchdown last Saturday.
He's just amazing. And people talk about his character. I don't think they give out Heisman trophies for giving Girl Scout cookies out. They give it for his play on the field. Last year, he broke the total yards record in the SEC.
But don't you think you could change his character and that would give him a better chance?
It really doesn't matter to me.
Well, Heisman candidates should have a strong character. They should be looked upon as, figures of society because they're considered elite.
They are. But I don't think nobody ever in the history of the Heisman ever has done nothing wrong. Reggie Bush, well, he's not literally a Heisman winner anymore. But, he... In Smith's funds, he took things he wasn't supposed to. More people have done worse things than Johnny, just being Johnny. Going to parties, whatever. He's just being a normal 20-year-old college kid, and I don't think he has to change to win the Heisman.
I just think it was wrong that they let him off with a slap on the wrist against Rice. I mean, he only had a half of football that he was out, and he was supposed to be out, like they were talking about maybe a whole season. And it wasn't so much that he did it. It was the fact that he did it, broke the rules, and then got away with it. And he got away with it in the sense that it was like, okay, we're gonna punish him, but we're gonna punish him so it's just mediocre punishment and pretty much make fun of ourselves. The NCAA didn't take care of that in the responsible manner, and that really hurt his reputation, I think, in my eyes and in other people's eyes. The fact that he did it was the one thing, and I don't disagree with players being able to sign autographs, but the NCAA does, and that's breaking the NCAA's rules, which should kind of disqualify you in a sense, because the Heisman, when they discuss the Heisman rules and qualifications to get it, you're supposed to have high, strong morals and great character, and he has none of that.
I think it's just a case of Johnny being Johnny.
Well, that's your opinion.
Well, that's our pick is Johnny Manziel, both of us, and he says not smart, 2-1 again. But we're going to move on to NFL MVP early favorites. I'm going to have to go with my Broncos man, Peyton Manning. 9 touchdowns altogether in the last 2 games. It's just so great, 307 yards altogether. He's just a well-rounded person, like I said earlier. And, Jay, what do you think? Who's your early favorites this year?
Peyton Manning. I'm a Broncos fan also, but Peyton Manning has shown, and everyone can agree, Peyton Manning has shown mechanics that he didn't have last season. He came out there and threw, like we said, 9 touchdowns. That tied a record for most touchdowns in 2 games. And, we're kind of hoping for that 10th one so we could say that he broke a record. But because, not very often do you see a broken record in the NFL lately. But Peyton Manning, he's just 70% completion rating in his game against his brother. They were saying Eli might take this one, might slide under the radar and go all home, go home with it. But he didn't. Eli came out there and just looked abysmal. 4 interceptions, and it was just a sad day for Eli. And I really hated it because it was brother versus brother, and he's already taken home 2. He took home the 3rd one also. Peyton Manning, he only had 2 touchdowns yesterday, but no Sean Moreno showed up and showed out 2 touchdowns for him, and nobody even thought he would be a good back. He's actually a sleeper in the the fantasy realm. But I really do. I think Peyton Manning's right now he's still got it, but in the future, he throws a few picks. He doesn't look as composed because there were still a few throws he had that were off cue. But in the future, I think he'll still hold on to it because he's a 4-time NFL MVP.
If we give out the MVP right now, I completely agree with both of you, Peyton Manning. But they still have 15 weeks to go. And I think Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons will pick it up. He's got too many weapons in Julio Jones and Roddy White and Tony Gonzalez.
Are we talking about the same Matt Ryan that lost the game for them against the New Orleans Saints? The same one that threw the pick in the end zone whenever they had less than 2 minutes to play. It was a 2-minute drill. Mm-hmm. He drove down the field, threw the pick when there was a wide open receiver.
That same Matt Ryan that won 13 games last year. And
you really think that he should
now,
be the MVP candidate?
72% completion rating, 648 yards. He's got 4 touchdowns. He's only thrown 1 pick, that pick you're talking about. And I think...
But that pick cost him the game, so doesn't that take away from his clutch factor, which is one of the main things you look for in an MVP candidate?
Absolutely not. Because Peyton Manning, everybody can't come out like Peyton Manning and throw 7 touchdowns and get 4 picks from his defense. I think Matt Ryan, he has too many weapons and his team is just too good.
You just admitted it.
Admitted what?
You said not everybody can come out and throw 7 touchdowns and then their defense get 4 picks like Peyton Manning.
No, everybody can't be that clean. Some people are going to throw picks. Some people are going to mess up sometimes. But down the road,
okay.
At the end of the season, I think Matt Ryan's going to pick it up. I think he's going to be at the top of the league as always in touchdowns and yardage, and I think he'll get his team personally to the NFC Championship. Now, beyond that, I don't know. But I got right now, Matt Ryan. Look out for him.
What are you thinking about Colin Kaepernick right now? What do you think about Colin?
Last night wasn't. It was awful. I'm trying to keep it PC, but it's awful. But Colin Kaepernick is a good player. He'll pick it up too. His team will pick it up. They didn't even score. They kicked the field goal with 3 points. They didn't get in the end zone. But I think down the road, this team is just too good just to fall off like that. And Colin Kaepernick's too good of a player just to fall off. So I think they'll pick it up down the road. And, everybody can't win them all.
Yeah, last week we discussed that, the San Francisco 49ers were the early, NFL, Super Bowl
And I think
picks.
they still are.
But then Colin goes out there, and then Seattle of all people, we're saying they were going to go in and beat Seattle and everything. 25-3. They don't even get a touchdown on the board, and Colin Kaepernick threw 3 picks, and he's my fantasy player, so I'm obviously a little bit frustrated.
But the Seattle defense is the number 1 defense in the NFL. You can't just blame them.
I do have Seattle's defense as my fantasy.
And that Richard Sherman guy, pretty good.
Richard Sherman, definitely. All right.
Well, that's going to wrap up the early favorites for NFL this year. We all 3 agreed on Peyton Manning, so that's good. Last topic, we all agreed on Peyton Manning. Next up is JCJC. They played the Pearl River Bobcats played the Pearl River last Saturday. We're going to recap this game. 34-16, Bobcats took the win. Jay, what do you think about last Saturday?
I think that JCJC has an opportunity to do something wonderful for this college. They haven't done it in a really long time. Actually, if a really long time wants to be put on the table, it's 1998 was the last time they won a national championship. They're 3-0. I don't know the last time they went 3-0, but I've only been here for 2 years, but they're 3-0, and that's something that you don't really hear a lot about in JUCO is a team going 3-0. I think it's going to be a pretty thing for them this season. And Steven Swindle, he just showed out this past game. The JCJC defense showed up and had 5 turnovers, but Steven Swindle, the quarterback, number 12, he threw 4 touchdowns for 331 yards and no interceptions. That's beautiful, especially for a JUCO team. I think that they've got an opportunity, especially with that quarterback, that they've got a chance to run the table, to go into Mississippi Gulf Coast and hopefully get that win.
We'll see what they're made of next week when they go visit Mississippi Gulf Coast. But right now, they look great. When your defense can play like that and take away 5 balls from the offense, 3 fumbles, 2 picks, if they can keep up that play, of course they can win the national championship. And let's show our Bobcat spirit. Matter of fact, let's show our Bobcat spirit. Show our Bobcat spirit. And go support our Bobcats.
Go Bobcats for sure. Congrats on the win. Next game is Thursday at Mississippi Gulf Coast. Go ahead out and root on the Bobcats for their next win. Thank you for joining us today on Bobcat Sports Talk. I'm Jessica Carter with my 2 co-hosts, Jay Riley and Trey Howard. Thank you.